back in 1950, but everybody else is catching up way more rapidly than you might think. Now, historians have noticed that history is usually driven by the largest cities in the world, and this is who they are now. They're almost all in developing countries. Only one, New York, is in what we would call the West. And remember, these newly large cities are growing 3 times faster than the developed world cities did, and 9 times bigger. They are a different creature. And if something looks familiar about this list, look at who were the largest cities 1,000 years ago. Only 2 of them, you might say, were in the so-called West, and the rest were scattered all over the world. In other words, the 1,000 years of history we've just enjoyed, referred to as the rise of the West, the rise of the West is over. Now we're seeing the rise of the rest, and that is very interesting. The statistics are incredible. Basically 1.3 million people new in town every week. A lot of them are born there, but most of them are arriving there from the countryside. So what's the big attraction? The attraction is action. It's where things are going on. It's where opportunity is. This is a bustling squatter city known as Kibera outside of Nairobi. About 1 million people live there. These are people not squashed by poverty, but busy getting out of poverty just as fast as they can. They are grassroots entrepreneurs. If they can't find a job, they create a job. They do the same with their housing, the same with the whole town. There's a good book on this called Shadow Cities by Rob Neuwirth, who went and lived in 4 of these squatter cities, including Kibera, and his subtitle says, 1 billion squatters, a new urban world. It's 1 billion in the squatter cities and slums now. Another 1 billion is expected in the next decade or so. All these places are pretty busy. Here's a lane in a Delhi slum, a lane in one of Mumbai's many slums, shopping market in Rasinya, in one of Rio's favelas. Basically, this is urban life at its richest. It's tough, but it's dense. This is social capital at its richest. So everybody in a slum neighborhood knows each other, whether they want to or not. And the economic event is a hidden one called the informal economy. Everything's not licensed. You don't have deeds for the property, but everybody knows who can charge rent for a room in a building. Rough guesses by the United Nations is that in the developing countries, 60% of employment is in the informal economy. In other words, it's like dark energy in astrophysics. We didn't expect it. It's huge. We don't know how it fits in, but it changes everything. We do not have a theory of the informal economy yet. People who thought that slums drag cities down have to deal with facts like Mumbai, where basically the slums evidently help create prosperity, because Mumbai, which is half slums, is also 1/6 of the whole gross domestic product of India. My interest in infrastructure in the squatter cities, they basically make their own. Steal the electricity that's going by, run cords up to the houses, and that's electricity. They'll do anything to get it. Cities have this peculiarity of things being jammed right up next to each other. So here's a slum interface in Sao Paulo. If you look at the edge, you see what's really going on. Cities have this quality of, they call it economics of aggregation, but this is at its best. You're basically jamming supply and demand right next to each other. And so this looks like a gross inequity, in a way it is, but it's also convenient for people on both sides of that wall. So you've got the maids and cooks, gardeners, and guards that work over in the boring, rich neighborhood on the right, get to walk to work from the interesting part of town that they live in on the left. That kind of jamming together of unexpected things is really what cities are all about. It's like a coral reef. It's an intensity of activity and an intensity of resourcefulness. So here you have a far-reaching train and a near-reaching market brushing against each other.